Right, hi there. I'm intending to do some gliding basics videos, just short ones, but I'm actually going to do those in this glider I'm previewing here, which is not uploaded to flightsim.to yet, but it will be. It's freeware. It's the result of a partnership. It's modeled by GlideSimmer67, who's done an incredible job, particularly with Blender, the 3D modeling of the glider. I'm going to show you it. And I've been doing the programming and the flight model of the instruments, that kind of thing, as I often do. But before I do the basics videos, this video is purely to introduce the K7, because you definitely won't have seen it yet. It's a training glider that's still used today, not a lot. It first came out in the 1950s, I think. It's a wooden fabric glider. And it's a fantastic two-seater training glider. But GlideSimmer67, I'll just show you some of these things. He has done a really, if you look at these spoilers, the canopy here, he's done a fantastic job modeling this glider. Put a huge amount of effort into it. It's been a year or 18 months, I think, that he's been working on this thing. And it's great inside and out. So what I thought I would do is I'll just take it up for a quick spin so you'll kind of get to see it, and it's a way of previewing the glider and also introducing the fact that I'm going to do some videos absolutely for basics. We're in an airport in Italy, Delfina. It's in the middle of Italy somewhere, and I've set the wind so it's blowing against this hill here. So with that, let's close the canopy. Call a winch launch. We've put it on a button. You can also click this tow release knob here. Basically, the trick on the winch launch is keeping the speed up. The ASI is down here. We're going to watch the speed carefully. See if I can keep it above 100 kilometers an hour. This is a German glider. You'll see the writing on it in German. It's got metric instruments, i.e. kilometers an hour, and height is in meters. But that's all intentional. We wanted to keep it kind of original. You can see my speed dropping off slightly there, so I put the nose down, keeping the speed up on the winch launch. And we'll ping off the winch launch for various reasons. If I drift too far, we do have a crosswind coming from the right. It's blowing towards that hill that I showed you on our left. We're getting a good launch though. So what I'll do is I'll just level off and click the release. There you go. So we had a nice gentle release there instead of it going ka-twang. Can I have a look out? Oop. That's just an animation delay. I had already, when we flipped to the outside view. Here we go, in Italy. Everything in this glider happens relatively slowly, but we've done a pretty good job on it, I think. It's a nice glider to fly. Okay, so what we're going to do, you can see the pedals down there are modeled as I turn the rudder. There's no real electronics apart from the radio in this glider. There are two varios. Top right is you could call it a modern total energy vario. This vario on the left here is not compensated. It's an allusion back to what somebody might have had maybe at the beginning, right at the beginning when the glider first came out. So you'll have a look if you get to compare these two varios. When I dive, the rate of climb indicator bottom left shows a strong dive, and when I pull up, it's going to show a climb. Okay, but if you look at the total energy vario, it wasn't swinging about in quite the same way, because it's having the acceleration of the glider subtracted off it. And the truth is, there have been total energy varios now is standard in gliders for quite a few decades. And you can see the total energy vario is picking up the ridge lift. We're flying towards this hill, and because the wind is heading this hill, it's giving us a gentle little bit of lift going up. That would be enough for us to climb in. This glider really has quite a slow stall speed. It's got a relatively gentle stall. I mean, it's intended as a training glider, and even though the first glider I worked on for Microsoft Flight Simulator, worked on with Modolo, the AS33, is a heavily ballasted racing glider. Everything happens much, much faster. This is not a bad one to start your career in. Oh, if you see this panel on the left, that's a DV panel, direct vision panel. Okay, so that has an animation on it. We're still working on the sounds. And what will happen is with the pilot in this aircraft, it's just slightly nose heavy as it's intended to be, and when you come into land, it will roll on the wheel for any distance. You end up keeping the stick back, and then eventually it'll tilt forward onto its nose, and that skid you can see underneath kind of acts as the brake mainly. That was closer than I meant it to be. Okay, so we'll find somewhere to land. I know if I look back at this video, I'll be able to see where the airport was in this. It's the first. Oh, I see it. The airport is here, look. Yeah, otherwise I was going to do a field landing. The intention, we put interaction on the microphone. If you click it, the intention is for this window to open when you click the mic, representing the radio, air traffic control. That's a bug in Microsoft Flight Simulator at the moment, is the event you call to open that window doesn't actually work, so that's not quite functional. There's a lot of detail in here. All of this is modeled in 3D. It's a really impressive piece of work. So this radio is all in 3D. If you see me change the channel, if you can see these frequency indicators here, they are actually discs with the numbers printed on in 3D going around there. That's the detail all over the plane. The Glide Simmer 67 has done an awesome job. Let's have a look. Let's see if I can land this thing. No ballast. Yeah, these basic, absolute gliding basics. I think I'm going to do. Look, here's the fundamentals of the launch. I'm going to include that. Here's the fundamentals of the landing. There is such thing as a good landing and a bad landing. And they say if you walk away, if you can walk away from it, it's a good landing. If you can fly the glider the following day, it's a great landing. I've got the air brakes half open, which is pretty decent. There's the airfield you can see over here. We're landing into wind. Well, not exactly. We've got a crosswind coming from our right. We might be able to see that as I crab in there. I've got fully open air brakes now. I'd be higher than I would have been normally there. That's half air brakes. You want to be approaching on half air brakes, if you possibly can. Oops. See, slight crosswind from the right. Okay, so I'm actually holding the nose up. I'm moving the stick backwards here. If I'm let the stick go forward, there you go. This glider will now scrape on its nose and come to a stop. Okay, so there we are. And just an extra detail is it has a front seat and a rear seat position, both with fully working instruments. And if you look back here, you look inside the cockpit at the level of detail going on. There's the trim, front and back. Release works. I'll give us another launch. You can always cancel it. We're going to get the wings level now. There you go, but I'll cancel it by releasing the tow. Okay, so quick introduction to the K7, Schleicher K7. Great piece of work by Glide Sim 67. And it'll be coming to flightsim.to soon, and so will some basic videos. All of this is continuing a build up towards the update, the gliding update from Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's going to include thermals underneath the clouds, it's going to include aerotow, and it's going to include up to half a dozen different gliders. That should be pretty good, and we're expecting that in November with a reasonable degree of confidence. All right, thanks.